as I go. Oh, how much I miss you. You'll never know.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire, stop all that. The TrueFire All Access membership, they've brought the price down for March Madness, they're calling it. So the cheapest you can get it any time of year is $99. It beats the codes that I normally tell you about. So I just wanted to shout that out here. So you get All Access membership for $99 for the year. You know, get into your Tim Millers, your Robin Fords, there's Larry Carlton stuff on there, there's Eric Johnson stuff on there. Like, all of our favourite players seem to have TrueFire courses. Check that out. March Madness, it's mad. I don't care anymore. I'm gonna do it. I know some of you might recognise this as sort of my favourite guitar. This is my K Line Springfield. It's an ice blue. I bought this one for £850 off of a forum. I've gone through a long period of not gigging it. I went through a period of having it shut in the cupboard because I didn't want to wear the frets out too much. But I've had a realisation, partly after going to Birmingham Guitar Show and seeing some of these guitars, like old guitars, old Strats up close. And I think what I've realised is that those guitars didn't get to become the guitars they are today by someone babying them, essentially, right? Like, and the other thing is that the work on a Strat or on an old guitar didn't stop when it left the factory. Do you know what I mean? Like, our hands over the years, if they're played a lot, can continue to shape the guitar. And I think that is part of what makes an old Strat or an old Telly, an old Gibson so comfortable, is that essentially our hands, or whoever's played them, their hands over the years act as like really fine grit paper, right? Well, not actually grit paper unless you've got something going on with your skin, like some sort of skin condition. But like, you're doing this over long periods of time, and it's gradually wearing down things. And you think of things like rolled fretboard edges, which Fender have started doing like on their Fender Mexican guitars. They're actually not really that like what happens to a fretboard edge over time, which is that it just gets really, really rounded off, like just super smooth and stuff. It's a really cool thing, but it doesn't happen if you don't play the guitar. I think this is one of the things with sort of like K-Lines, Danacasters, things that are being built sort of like the old things, but just with nitro as well. That's the main ingredient, I think, is that if it's poly, this generally is not going to happen. Like, you're not going to wear through poly in the same way that you can through nitro, which is a bit of a inferior paint in some ways, right? But works better for actually translating wear to the guitar. So this guitar didn't really have any dings or anything like that when I first got it. And I think, you know, this is what I got to remember. You know, I'm playing gigs down at the Fisted Duck. It's not super risky behaviour, right? I'm not taking it, I don't know, to Torquay and leaving it in the street. It's just a gig, and most things can be repaired, so there's no point in overly babying the guitar. What was it? I was watching someone the other day, Andy Timmons on Thomas Blug's channel, and he was saying that I think his Ibanez, his like first Andy Timmons signature, has been refretted like 11 times or something like that. So you think, well, actually, a guitar's magic is not necessarily lost through a refret. So even when I have to refret this at some point, is that the worst thing ever? I'm actually kind of in a mode where I'm trying to sort of still pare things down. I've had many, many Strats. You know, if this one was lost or stolen, I have another K Line Strat. I've had others, you know, that could totally fill its spot. Or, you know, order another K Line. So there is like a bit of a, what should we call it, like a sentimental thing going on, but there's no reason not to gig a guitar, I don't think, if you're, you know, if it's not crazy value. You know, this isn't the Beast, this isn't Gary Moore's guitar, it's just some dickhead in Devon. It's just what I see in it, basically, right? And yeah, so I need to remember that and just remember to gig it. again, like that Birmingham Guitar Show thing, you could see on some of the guitars, so these were like 60 Strats from ATB, like you don't get these massive sort of indentations on the fingerboard unless that guitar has been played and played and played and played. And so I don't know, that to me is like a bit of an incentive to stick to this and see how far this guitar goes along in the old journey with me, which I think is quite a cool sort of thing, to me at least, you know. And that is one of the arguments I think for having less guitars in some ways. Like, you know, you're not going to wear down a ton of guitars. It takes a lot of time gigging one guitar and practicing on one guitar to really make those sorts of wear marks and stuff on a guitar, right? I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments on that. Have you managed to sort of self-relic a guitar or keep a guitar long enough for it to start, you know, giving back in this way? And that is basically, I think, what partly makes an old guitar feel like an old guitar, right? The amount of play that it's had. And you get some guitars like the Nacho stuff which do a really good replication of that, but then you know that it's a relic, whereas this, I know that this is just wear from like actually being used, which in some ways is kind of cool, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, Philip Sace's Strats I think of as like really sort of bonkers played guitars that just have a lot of mojo to them, you know, mojo, that thing. Anyway, so here's some more playing from the ship in, with my buddy Jake, Matt on drums, Joe Leese on bass, Matt Kitchen on drums, Jake Loosemore singing. We played the Lime Regis and ship in fairly often if you're ever looking to see us. I think I need to start using a reverb live because this sounds a bit dry to me. Catch you in another video soon. I've got to go and cut a tree, so this is a short video. Sorry. Cheers.
What's the sense of rising? Kitchen on the drum.